So yeah, like you said, Shay, the last time I spoke Inspired on this platform was downstairs, different stage, but I got really personal and I spoke about how to recover from setbacks. And for those of you who were here, obviously you know it was an interesting story. For those of you who weren't here, I shared a story of when I was living in Dubai and I had an amazing lifestyle, great friends, everything was shiny and superficial, it was brilliant for what I wanted at that time. But my world eventually came crashing down when I was sent to jail for a kiss in public, which is obviously an unbelievable situation to be involved in. But the process I went through to make that a distant memory was what I shared. And today, again, I'm going to just bring you into my world a little bit and explain how I transformed my career from a place where I was stuck to a feeling now where I love what I do. And more importantly, I love how I do it. And I just want to explain how I got there. And I hope this resonates with you because this is a little bit outside the box. It's the purpose of the talk. If you're in a 9 to 5 or even if you're not, I hope you find something in this story. The first thing to say is I was in this place where I felt like I was stuck. And I don't know how many of you have been there with your job or with your company or with whatever you do, but for me it felt like an energy of being unenthusiastic to wake up in the morning and just not having the rapport or the connection with my managers beyond the work that we were delivering. From a work perspective, we weren't creating, we weren't building anything new. We were maintaining the ship and it was business as usual, nothing exciting. And I was thinking positively, I changed my routine, I was doing all of these things to feel like, you know what, this is the right place. But in the end, no amount of positive thinking or change like that resonated to my core. I needed to change what I was doing, and that's fine. I got to that place where the decision for me sounded a bit like this. It was, I'm ready for more, and I deserve it. And when I made that high-level choice, that decision, I made 3 subliminal choices from there as well. And I just became aware of them months afterwards. But the choices that I made, the subliminal decisions that I made, were I'm going to be myself. And I'm going to do things my way. I'm not going to compromise, and I'm not going to conform. That was the first thing I made. That was the first subliminal message. The second one was, I got clarity. I got really clear about what I wanted and why I wanted it. And I was really grounded in those 2 things. And what I surrendered was, how am I going to make this real? How am I going to materialize this? But I got clear on what I wanted and my purpose, my reason why. Why did I want it? From a career perspective, but also how that ties into my life. The third thing, the third decision I made was that I was going to read the signs. And I was going to work more instinctively. I was going to go with my gut. And that comes from reading the signs and the messages that life gives you. And for me, it was about living in my courage and not in my fears. So I'll explain what happens next, but before I go there, I'm actually going to go all the way back and explain a little bit about my upbringing. And I hope that will drive the message home in a bit more of a real way for you guys. So my brother and I were born in Cairo. My parents are Iranian. My father was studying for a master's in Cairo. We are not Egyptian. And my father was an ambitious man, still is. He has an incredible sense of humor, and he's very direct personality. My mother is an angel. She lives for her husband and her children. She's a beautiful woman. And after the revolution in Iran, my father made this bold move. He'll sell everything and move to London. So he was essentially a brave man because he started again from the age of 38, 39. And he was a practicing doctor and businessman. And he became a painter and decorator. So we started from nothing. We had nothing when we came here. And when I say nothing, I'm just going to bring this even more real. My father didn't have enough money to buy cigarettes. It was the 90s. We didn't have Game Boys. We didn't have Nike Airs. We didn't have any of that. No luxuries, but what we had was the basics. We had each other. We had love. We had humor. We had the presence of our parents. I'm talking for my brother and I here. And what that meant was, it was normal. It was fine. It was more than okay. We never lost our sense of abundance or power. And that was fantastic, I have to say, looking back. It was amazing. And I'll just demonstrate how we had humor in the household, because it's so important. We're talking about heart and leadership from the heart. Laughing is one of the best ways, especially for a male, to connect here in the heart. And I'll just quickly share a story which made me really laugh when I was looking back, but at the time it could have been traumatic. It's just with the power of laughter, it's so healing. And it was, I don't know, maybe 93, 94, something like this. It was one Christmas, my father called home and he told me some news that brought me pure joy and excitement. He told me he brought me a Game Boy. And, no, seriously. And he was excited as well. He thought he was, you know, obviously an amazing father. He is. And when he got home, it was clear that he didn't know what a Game Boy was, because this was not a Game Boy. It was not a Game Boy. It wasn't better. It was definitely worse. Barely electronic. You play with it in your hands, but there's no other connection to a Game Boy. And, you know, we didn't cry. We didn't cry about it. I was disappointed, but we didn't cry about it. And in the end, it was a few years later. This is how humorous and lighthearted my father is. We'd bring this up as a reference of humor, and that's what made it so healing. Humor is amazing because when you connect to laughter, you remember those moments because you're so grounded. And when you belly laugh and you come from here, it's unforgettable. You always remember those moments. The difference is when you live in fear and concern, you're up here. This is similar to what you're saying. This is what Alan's going to be talking about in more detail later. But the reason I'm talking about my background is not to get too deep into this. It's really to say that my brother and I grew up as third culture kids, which means that we grew up in a culture different to our parents, which really means that we grew up a little bit confused. And it's true. And so as a third culture kid, or any person really, the job that we have is to really tie in all of these beliefs that we have from parents, society, other children, all of these things, into a vision that you believe in and you find empowering. And for me, that moment really came after this thing in Dubai, right? So I shared this experience. If you don't know what it is, Google it, Google my name, you'll find out a little bit about that. But when I came back, it was my sign that I had to look deeper within, right? When I came back, again, I was starting from scratch, but I knew this happened for a higher purpose. And so I started to read. Kindle. Kindle was a game changer for me. Kindle. I lived by myself for the first time. Always living with flatmates and parents, all of this stuff. I lived by myself, started meditating. If anyone doesn't know about the power of meditation, come see me, go see Alan, speak to Shay. So simple, so cheap, and so transformative. Everyone needs to, I mean, there's other things that you can do to go within, exercise, all these things. But I'm just telling you a little bit about how I got there. And what I did in meditations, I cleared my junk, and I cleared the path for me to move forward, because I always got to this place, I think Dubai was also a sign of this, where I was reaching greatness, I was getting there, but then something would happen that bring me down. So meditation made me understand all of these things, understand myself better, and be able to connect with other people better as well. Loads and loads of different things. But what I'm trying to get to is, in July 2012, when I transformed my career, and I told you about these 3 subliminal messages and decisions that I made. And essentially what happened was I realized that I can't be an employee anymore. It's not my mentality. With all this growth that I had, I wasn't 9 to 5 trying to climb the ladder and play politics, and it wasn't me. I wanted to just be myself, right? And I stalled for a number of months because I didn't know what it was that I was looking for. I didn't, like I said, that clarity didn't come until after I made the decision a little bit. And when it came, the solution was completely outside of the box, and it was true. If I was thinking about it logically, it was unrealistic. But I decided that I was going to be a freelancer in this space. And for someone who was 27 at the time, with 3.5 years experience in this field, that's a bonkers, mad decision. If I'm being honest with myself at that time, it was crazy. Because people in my space, they're 10 years older. They've got 8, 9, 10 years experience. And I was going to go and do something that was completely different, right? And for me, it's an interesting journey just thinking back about it. But for me, I was just comfortable with this notion that I'm not like other people. And I think we all need to go there. We all need to go there. In the end, I made my decision. I had major responsibilities, mortgage, all of this stuff, but I wasn't looking at any excuses. I knew what I wanted, right? And sooner or later, when you really get clear, opportunity will knock. It's a given. You just have to be ready for it. If you're not ready for it, you were not really clear in the first place. I was ready for it. And when the opportunity came, I was emotionally attached to it, but mature enough to say, if it's not for me, if it doesn't work out, I'm going to move on. Simple as that. But when the opportunity came, it was a high-tech company in Piccadilly. They were amazing. The office was like a spaceship. The company, the people were great. The projects were amazing. And usually, like the old version would have been so impressed that I would have over-prepared and all this stuff. For me, it wasn't like that. At this moment, it was just, I'm not going to over-prepare on the technical stuff. I'm going to go and connect with them directly. And that was it. What happened, the interview and the meeting itself, was incredible. Because the space we were in was beautiful. I didn't have to prove anything, because they saw it from the connection. And it went a bit like this, where they knew I was capable, and I knew they were the right people. And it wasn't really by too much dialogue. It was more of a feeling and just how we were responding to each other, and I knew it was the right thing. So I took that opportunity. But one thing you have to understand here is I didn't know how I was going to deliver the project. Okay? This job was 20 grand more than my previous job. So it's a good, solid step up. We're not talking about baby steps here. This was a major move. And I didn't know how I was going to deliver it. But again, I was comfortable with this fact that I want to be open to all possibilities. And projects change, situations change. You have to be able to adapt to them, right? And Einstein said, you guys all know this quote, said imagination is more important than knowledge that you've acquired. Just think about the amount of possibilities you have if that is true for you. Because it's incredible. And that's where I live. I lived in that place where I didn't look at my lack of hands-on experience as a negative thing. I just saw it as, you know what, I've got the imagination to see this project in its best version. And on top of that, I see myself in my best version in all aspects of my life. So the natural thing that would happen is solutions will come. And actually, people will resonate with the space that I'm in. That's exactly what happened. I delivered the project. I've already spoken for 14 minutes, huh? Okay. Delivered the project. They extended the contract. They offered me a permanent job. And I just really want to... The key takeaways here is... I saw this, if we're looking at a scale of 1 to 10, I saw this as a level 8 opportunity, okay? But I didn't see myself as a level 5 person, level 6 person, looking up at the opportunity and trying to grasp it and get my hands around it. I saw myself as a level 10 person. I was looking down on the opportunity in a humble way. I was looking down on the opportunity, grateful for it, knowing that I will not only deliver, but I will deliver 10x value, right? And what I'm suggesting to you today is that we're all level 10 people. We're all level 10 people. The choice we have is whether we want to believe that we are or if we don't. And I just told you a little bit about my background. And the reason I did that is just to really drive that message home, that we are all capable, more than we probably believe. We just have to connect to that, the fact that we are level 10 people. If we believe that we are, you'll see that you are as well. The other thing I want to mention is opportunity, because taking opportunities is so important. And opportunities come in so many shapes and sizes. And I heard this analogy that, I hope I do it justice, is talking about keeping the ice cream on the cone. Why are you laughing? You weren't expecting that, huh? You weren't expecting that. So, this notion of the ice cream on the cone, it's about managing the ice cream so it doesn't fall, so it doesn't drip, so that you have, and you can be grateful for what you have, and you don't let any of it fall away. And when you manage the ice cream in the proper way, your cone will increase, and the more you'll be rewarded with more ice cream. That's just how the universe works. And if opportunity comes and you're mismanaging it, there's no shame in that. It's just that manage your opportunities in a way where you're putting 100% in, knowing that nothing is dripping or falling, knowing that when you do that, you'll be rewarded with a bigger cone and more ice cream. I should really end at that point, but I'm not going to. The point I wanted to really make was how important it is to live outside the box. Because when you live outside the box, you touch people in a different way. It's an authentic way. It's a way where people admire your courage. And they ask you for your secret. And you give them permission to be themselves. And that's the most important thing. So, I hope you feel inspired. And I hope you live outside the box too. Thank you.